So I don't think it's unfair to say that the Portland Trail Blazers were genuinely horrible last season. Only won 21 games, back in the lottery yet again. And throughout the season, the guy that we thought was going to be the one bright spot, Scoot Henderson, was kind of an up and down year.
Yeah, when we drafted him, I'm like, we got Scoot, forget about Dame, Scoot's the future. And it was a very rough start to the season. There were some other rough moments. The plus minuses in some games were just ugly, but he did finish kind of strong, and I'm still very excited for Scoot going into year 2.
Before we start talking about Scoot's rookie year, if you haven't already, make sure to give this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. So going into the draft, we were obviously very bitterly disappointed we didn't land the #1 pick. We've mentioned this anecdote a bunch of times. It's not how probabilities work, but the Blazers were apparently one ping pong ball away from getting the #1 pick, getting Wemby, probably still having Dame on the roster at this point. Obviously very disappointed we didn't land the guy who's probably gonna be the best player in the NBA in a couple years, but hey, we still landed the 3rd pick, meaning we were either gonna get Scoot or Brandon Miller. And we both wanted Scoot a lot more than Brandon Miller. Don't really know why. I think Scoot was kind of just the more exciting player. Like, I don't know. We had a weird conversations before. We were like, Brandon Miller just sounds like a guy. He sounds like an accountant. Basically, we got duped because we thought Scoot had more aura.
Okay, the name Scoot Henderson goes hard one.
It screams superstar.
But it's easy to forget now, but back then, a lot of people were saying like, oh, if Wemby wasn't in this draft, like a lot of years, Scoot would have gone #1. Like, people were very high on Scoot.
Well, there were all those rumors about like maybe the Pelicans wanted to trade Zion potentially or Brandon Ingram for Scoot.
I think Brandon Ingram was least true. I don't think Zion was ever on the table realistically, but yeah, that was a rumor. I mean, there also was that duel with Wemby. I was watching that on repeat on draft night. Like, he looked very good in that. We draft him 3rd overall. Brandon Miller goes 2nd. A lot of people thought the Hornets messed up big time. It was one last Michael Jordan just screw job to the Hornets.
Their own mascot thought they screwed up.
Dude was pissed. Dame was still on the roster at this point, so we had a log jam of point guards on the roster because you had Dame, Scoot, Shaden, Ant, who was seen as our best player once we traded Dame. Eventually, though, we trade Dame. We still bring in Malcolm Brogdon, so that's another guard. And in his summer league debut, you know, didn't look great. Didn't shoot the ball well, which would be a theme later on, but he did drop 15 points, had 5 rebounds, 6 assists, but he did have to leave the game early due to an injury. And like we said earlier, we knew Scoot was raw, but holy hell, the first week of the season, dude was about as raw as it gets.
Oh yeah, I'll try to go back and find him, but all the AI images we saw of like Scoot.
I saw one today looking on Twitter as I was searching his name.
To be fair, he was really bad his first 5 games. He averaged 8.8 points per game, shot 34.6% from the field, and he shot a horrific 2 of 21 from 3. I mean, there's rookie growing pains, and then there's this.
Well, at one point it got to 2 of 24.
Did it really?
Yeah, before he finally started to hit some. Oh man, I mean, and then on November 1st, he sprains his ankle against Detroit. He'd be sidelined until November 22nd. So it's just this huge long period of like he's playing awful and then he gets injured. He struggled a bit in his first game back against Utah, but after that he finally started to find some sort of rhythm. I think those goggles helped because he was having those eye issues where dude apparently couldn't see out there.
Yeah, he had the goggles on. He was like, I can finally see everything.
Yeah. December was easily his best month thus far. 15 points a game, 5 assists. He upped his 3-point shooting to 35 a night, so still not great, but that's like solid. He still was only shooting 39% from the field overall, which is horrendous.
Yeah, it's bad
in itself, but this was a big step in the right direction.
I mean, there was nowhere to go but up at this point, if we're being honest. And he kept it up in January. He dropped a career high 33 points, along with 9 assists and 7 rebounds against the Suns on January 14th. Now, it took him 31 shots to do it, but at this point, the season was lost, and we were like, you know what? Let's just look at the positives. He did have to miss some time in February, though, due to an adductor injury, and when he came back in March, he managed to register the worst plus-minus in NBA history against the Miami Heat, a minus 58, which, fun fact, was actually his second game of the season where he logged a minus 50 or worse, because in January against OKC, he logged a minus 56 in only 31 minutes on the floor.
The thing that sucks most about this is, like, we'll talk about here soon, he had a solid finish to the season, but no matter how much we hype him up, people in the comments and the replies or whatever are just gonna be like minus 58.
Because they're stuck on the early part of the season. season.
And at the same time, how do we respond from that?
You
Minus 58?
You can't be like, well, he shot 41% from 3 in his last month because they'll just fire back. Yeah, but he had a minus 58.
Like we said, though, he did finish the season on a high note. In April, he had his best month of his career, started all 7 games of the month, averaged 19.4 points a game, 9.7 assists, 3.4 rebounds, 41.7% from field, which isn't great, but 41.7 from 3. He also shot that.
That's awesome.
Especially that last game of the season against the Rockets. He shot 6 of 7 from 3, dropped 30 points, had that one big dunk on Jeff Green. Like, he had a very good end to the season, at least comparative to where he was.
And if you look at his like stats for the whole year, I mean, 14 points per game, 5.4 assists, 3.1 rebounds, 48.9% true shooting isn't good at all. But I mean, you just look at those numbers, you know, like, he didn't blow you away or anything, but for a 20-year-old coming from the G League, it's not awful. Could have been better, obviously, could have been a lot better, but it's not terrible.
Still didn't receive a single vote for Rookie of the Year, which, I mean, he didn't deserve a single vote.
No,
That's
didn't.
not a shocker. And he was left off the all-rookie teams.
That's kind of surprising.
It is surprising. I think it's fair. He led rookies in assists per game. I think he was like 5th in scoring. So it was kind of surprising, but at the same time, like, overall, his efficiency, his net positive to the court, he was still one of the worst players in the league last season.
Minus 58.
Yeah.
Can't get past it. Like we said, though, there was some positives from his rookie year, especially his playmaking ability. Now, after having Dame for the previous 11 years, who, let's just be honest, he's not a natural playmaker. I mean, there were so many times where Dame would frustrate us, especially when he would leave his feet going for a layup, realize there's a 7-footer in his face, and then just kind of throw the ball somewhere on the court, hoping one of his teammates is there. Love the guy to death, but playmaking was not his strong suit. That is not the case with Scoot. He sees the floor well, he can pass with both hands, he's constantly looking for his teammates. I mean, hell, that last month of the season averaged nearly 10 assists per game when the Blazers had a lamppost and 3 other deck chairs out there with him. Like, there was nobody for him to pass to, and he was still getting 10 assists per game. So to have a guy who can actually distribute the ball, get other people involved, I really like it.
I mean, I knew it was part of his game, but I was very surprised with how good his passing was, and it makes me excited for the future. You pair him with Shaden as the backcourt of the future, them throwing lobs to each other. Now you got Klingon. I mean, Klingon's not a great offensive player, but with Scoot to set him up, that'd be exciting to see. And the other main thing that was a great sign is his improvement throughout the year. I mean, we're gonna keep yapping about it because it's what we got. Like, if he would have stayed being kind of trash for the entire year and not really shown any improvement, we'd be panicking. But he did show the improvement, so especially that last month of the season, if he can carry that into next year, that is a very good sign.
Still plenty to work on, though. I feel like the one thing everyone's gonna jump on right away would be his jump shot, especially because of how he started the year. But actually, if you look at his stats, his three-point shooting especially wasn't actually that bad. He really consistently shot around 33% for most of the year. I mean, for a guy who came into the league and everyone was saying there are questions about his jump shot, 33% as a rookie, I don't even think is that bad.
The one thing I will say is, you watch the footage, they were constantly going under on him. They were leaving him open. So that is something where hopefully he becomes a consistent shooter. They can't do that. And I think that would really help his rim pressure, because that was the big disappointment to me. Like, he was not able to get to the rim as much as I expected. He was by far the worst rim finisher in the entire league. I know he wasn't like a standout in the G League at that. He was actually probably below average, but you really expected that more for a guy who got some comparisons to Russell Westbrook.
I mean, he shot 6% less than Benedict Mathurin.
Yikes.
Who was second worst. Under 50% at the rim. Like, he's a young player who's very athletic, so, you know, he likes to attack the rim, tries to use his athleticism, and for as much as I said I really loved his playmaking ability, at times he does also get tunnel vision, where he's like, I'm gonna attack the rim. I don't care that there's a 7'1" dude there just waiting for me who's gonna swat this shit. He needs to get smarter at the rim, and even when he does get to the rim, he seems to like press himself a little bit. I don't know if that's just because he's a rookie and he's still trying to get used to the speed of the NBA game, but he has a lot of bunnies at the rim that he just misses, and he's gonna have to start making those. And also, he needs to stop fouling. He led the Blazers in fouls per game at over 3 a game. That's too many.
Yeah, I saw that too. I mean, to be fair, like, he's got the athleticism, he's got the effort on defense. I mean, he can't be worse than Damon Ant we've had to watch. much over the past like 5 years.
At least he's trying on
Yeah.
defense. I'll give him that.
I'm not too worried about the defense personally. I think that'll come. It's mainly like the attacking the rim in the half court needs to improve, and the jump shot needs to be more consistent. So overall, let's grade his rookie year. I'm gonna give it a C-.
Okay.
I think a lot of people would give it a D, maybe a D-. Maybe you're a hater, you want to give it an F or whatever. I think there was a lot of pressure being Dame's replacement, being the third pick, being probably the most second hype player in this draft class. He improved over time. I'm gonna be generous and give him that C-.
I'm gonna be a little harsher. I'm giving him a D+. I mean, no votes for Rookie of the Year, didn't appear on any all-rookie teams. Yes, he got better. And by the way, this is not to say that we're not excited for him this upcoming season. Like, I am so excited to see how he develops. And again, he's only 20 years old. I think we've gotten a bit overeager because of guys like Luka or Trae Young when he was a rookie, or even recently with guys like Wemby who come in and just make an instant splash. And you're like, oh, they're a star already. Scoot is a project. He's a very raw player. He's got all the athletic ability, but he needs to be developed. I'm super excited to see what he does for this upcoming year, but for the previous year, gotta be honest and give it a D+.
All I'm saying though is you gotta be careful down there in those comments, because the apologies are gonna need to be as loud as the disrespect. I'm taking names, I'm saving tweets. Give it 3 years and check back in. All NBA Scoot Henderson, baby.
And what if he's shit 3 years?
And I'm deleting those tweets, deleting this video and acting like it never happened.
The old just burn everything routine.
Yeah, I never said any of this.
That's the video, guys. What did you think of Scoot Henderson's rookie year? You think there's reason to be optimistic, or you think we're just being delusional? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving it a like, as it really does help us out. And while you're here, why not check out some of our other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.